This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. My name for June 29th, 2018. My name is Vern Carlson.
We're July 2nd
It's July
today.
2.
Oh, okay. Smaller. Well, how do I get this on there?
That's the date.
Well, that's the date.
Oh, I
that we
see.
said.
Okay.
I apologize for any
Well, that's what he
confusion
wrote
it may
here.
have caused to
In any
take the
event-
letter. But
Let's get going here, boys. My name is Vern Carlson. I'm the chairman of the commission. And we do have a few changes here, but let me get the staff introduced first. To my right, extreme right, is Jeff D'Onofrio. He's our town attorney. Next to him is Jonathan Bodwell. He is our town engineer. Alan Fredrickson, land use administrator. To my left, Mary Lee Radjuski, our court reporter, and Pam Miller, our staff secretary.
Ed Homa, alternate.
Jim Giletti, regular member.
Teresa Ranciato Dili, regular member.
Ron Penton, vice chair.
Richard Wilson, secretary.
Okay, with that being said, first off, let's see if there's any changes to the agenda, which there is. Alan, what is the changes?
item number 2 involving 94 Chapel Hill Road. We had a late request to postpone the opening of that application, so we're going to push that to August 6th. Items 3 and 4, which concern 400 Saga Point Road, we're just going to continue because we received an email that just tersely said that they're just trying to update their drawings so that they can get us something that will reflect the request of the commission when it was initially heard. So items 2, 3, and 4 are off. Will be heard in August,
So,
presumably.
if there's anyone here for those applications, they will not be heard tonight. Okay, how this works is that we do have a public hearing tonight. The application will come before the commission. Commission will ask whatever questions they may have, and then we'll go to the public and see what the public has to say in respect to it, and continue along that way. When we get through with the site plan, with the public hearing, we will get into site plans, in which there is no public input in site plans. And of course, there is no input in deliberation. With that being said, I think we have it covered. If our secretary would read the call of P18-20S. It's a special permit.
Special permit application of Reno Russo, 404 Associates Incorporated, applicant and owner relative to 404 Washington Avenue, map 85, lot 27. Plan entitled Site Layout Plan, land of 404 Associates, Inc., 404 Washington Avenue, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by Giuliano Associates, dated 11/28/17. The scale is 1 inch, equals 40 feet, CB 40, R12 zoning district.
Okay, let the record show, Pam, that we're going to take 1 and 7 together, which would be P18-20. Okay. Okay, Bernie, you have that.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, for the record, my name is Bernard Pellegrino. I'm an attorney with the Pellegrino Law Firm. My address is 10 Marlborough Road here in North Haven. I represent the applicant. With me this evening, members of the Russo family are here. Matt Niski, who is with Giuliano. Sorry.
I can't hear you.
Matt, you can put the plan up. Matt is a civil engineer with Giuliano and Associates, who's our design engineer for the project. So just for point of reference, this is the property at 404 Washington Ave. It's about 4 acres in size, and it is currently improved with a banquet facility that I know you all are aware of called Fantasia. Our clients have owned that property for approximately 20 years, I think, and have operated that banquet hall. The proposal that we are bringing forward is to construct a mixed-use residential complex on the property in accordance with the, what's it called? Should know.
Excuse me, could people talk a little bit louder because we can't even hear you back here?
Sure. That's my fault.
Matter of fact, you folks see the easel? You can turn it a little bit.
Not loud.
Yeah, that's what you're trying to do. As long as they, it's a public hearing, they need to see that.
So to redevelop the site in accordance with the UWMU regulation, section 4.4.1.38.
No,
Would you step
can't
forward
hear a
then?
word.
Come up and sit in the
There
front.
are other people behind me that can't hear
Can
him.
we,
He has our back, he has his back to the people that are in the room.
Where do you want me to go?
He's speaking
Bernie,
to
could
you.
you get onto the
people.
side, maybe if you turn to them, maybe they can be able to hear you a little bit better.
do you wanna come up here though? Do you wanna
No.
come up front? Okay.
Is the microphone
But there
working?
are
Yeah,
other people.
it doesn't sound like it is.
It's not, I don't think it's projected.
I don't think it
Is the microphone
amplifies.
working or not?
I don't think it amplifies, it records,
No,
but,
I'm not talking about mine.
Right.
Mine's working. I don't think that one is, I don't think that's on.
but it's not going to amplify. We're in a small room, this is what we have. We have no sound system. We'll do the best we can. Now, hold on a second. What are we doing with that? Are you good with the location of that? Okay. And understanding that the primary concern here, it is a public hearing, nobody just, denied access or what have you, but they do present to the commission this evening. So,
Well, we would like to hear it.
fair enough.
I want you to hear it, I'm gonna be sure everybody does hear it. If anyone can hear it, please just move forward. Go ahead, Bernie.
Okay. As loud as I can. The proposal is to redevelop the site with 3 buildings. The front building would have 3,250 square feet of commercial use on the lower level. The back 2 buildings would be all residential. There would be a total of 109 units of residential, which is permitted in the regulations. We've gone through a staff review. Matt will run through the site plan for you, and I think he'll cover most of the comments from town staff, most of which we don't have any objection to or problem with. 2 issues I wanted to just highlight. One item, I think it's L. I think it's item L.
Yes, regarding the residential use, it is.
Yeah, sorry. Item L on Alan's comments. If you have your site plan in front of you, because this one's pointed away from you, Alan comments that additional buffer strip may be required along the south side of the site because the property at 396, which is 2 over from our site, the animal hospital, may have a residential use. what we've done is the property directly abutting us has a residential use. So we have provided the 25-foot buffer strip along that section of our site adjacent to the front building. We have, and I think he's confirmed with Alan, that the animal hospital does not currently have a residential use. So we have not provided the 25-foot buffer along the remaining portion where the parking spaces are adjacent to that property, which is undeveloped in the rear, or along the rear of the property, our property at the dogleg, where we have pavers for fire access. It's our position, and I know this item was on the agenda, or on his comment, so it's continued, but my reading of the reg, and by the way, that site is zoned CB40 as well, so it's not zoned residential. There was a prior residential use above the animal hospital, but that use is no longer, and so I think the reg says it's either zoned residential or is used for residential purposes. It isn't, so we don't believe that the buffer requirement extends to the back section of the southern boundary of our site or along the front of the dogleg. The other thing that I thought I'd comment on is parking. We've prepared a parking memorandum. We enjoyed the benefit of the parking study that was done for 520 Washington Avenue just a few years ago. The similarities between the projects are probably apparent to you as you look at the plan. We used, and the number of units for that site was slightly larger than the number of units proposed for this site. This site also enjoys the benefit of a signalized traffic intersection to control traffic in and out. We use the same parking formula and calculations that was used in the Washington Avenue report. And quite frankly, in that case, they had a second proposed use that was a much greater traffic generator than our office use. We adjusted slightly for that, but I think our proposed parking, given the analysis, the same analysis that was used there, in our opinion, satisfies the concern that was raised that, or question that was raised as to the sufficiency of the parking. I'm not aware of any parking concerns or issues that have arisen at 520. I think this site's going to function in a very similar fashion. So our analysis is that we have proposed sufficient visitor parking. You know, there's a shared use factor because the office space will be used at different times than the residential use, and so I think parking proposed is sufficient. Turn it over to Matt to walk you through the site plan, and unless you have any questions for me now.
Not for me at the moment,
Good evening. I'm the site engineer on 404 Washington Avenue. I was also Matthew Niski, professional engineer, and as in Nancy, I-S-K-I, from Seymour, Connecticut. The site, we were proposing the 3 buildings, as Mr. Pellegrino did say. Residential use on the back 2 buildings. The front building will have a office space on the bottom floor, just to meet the regulations. Parking, per the regulations, is the 1 space per bedroom. We do meet that. The office space has 13 parking spaces there too, per the regulations, which I believe is 1 space per 250 square feet. We do actually have one kind of floater space, which we're calling a visitor space for extra parking as needed, and then the shared use with the commercial. All the utilities are public utilities. Our storm regulations, we actually reduce the runoff leaving the site for every storm. We are proposing, they're called storm trap units underground. They're really just big concrete galleys, store a lot. They're very efficient, and they're actually produced in Wallingford, Connecticut, so they're just up the road. The back buffer is 50 feet per the regulations. We are proposing a densely vegetated buffer strip, arborvitaes, which will eventually grow to upwards of 30 feet, so they will block almost the entire building from the rear property line. There is also going to be a nice vinyl fence, which if you have toward the 520 site, there is a very nice vinyl fence where it hasn't been hit by trees from the storm, so there's that proposing. So for the neighbors, they really will not see this building by time construction is done, because the trees will grow, block the site for most of the building. Any questions?
Well, yeah, let me ask you this. What is the required parking for the site, and how do you supply? Just so everybody knows.
Okay. The regulations require one space per bedroom. I do not remember off the top of my head. It is labeled on the site plan at the bottom how many bedrooms are required per the site. Bernie?
I calculated
Well, okay.
133, what Alan has.
Okay, so I believe we provide, can I go look at the
Yeah,
site
go
plan?
ahead.
Yeah, okay.
Quote. I just want everybody to know.
Okay, so the first building
Oh,
has.
you need to be near the microphone, sorry.
Okay.
I don't know.
Sorry, I don't remember all the numbers. So the front building has a total of 29 units, so 29 parking spaces for the front building, residential use. The second and third buildings each have 40 bedrooms, so they're 40 spaces each. So there's a total of 133, excuse me.
Right.
Correct.
133 bedrooms on site. And then the parking for the office is one space per 250 square feet, which per the regulations, we are required a square footage equal to 50% times 35 square feet, which is a minimum of 3,250 square feet minimum non-residential space on site. We are proposing office space for a total of 13 spaces. For a total of 146 spaces on site. We are proposing 147. We do meet the required ADA compliant for parking spaces. We have 6 handicap spaces, with one of them van accessible.
So that's 147 proposed, 146 required.
Yep. I got that. Is anybody on the
Yeah.
commission?
Yes, yeah.
Yep.
You wanna hear?
Just for him.
I don't know if it's Bernie or you, but was there a meeting with the neighbors?
We invited the abutters behind us
Okay.
to a meeting, and 2 neighbors attended it about a month ago. So we did.
And was there any feedback from that? What was the upshot?
The upshot was, it was a good meeting. One neighbor, I could tell you his name, was very supportive.
Okay.
The other neighbor, I would say, was non-committal. He owns the property, but he doesn't live there. I think a relative lives there. And she may be here tonight, I don't know for sure. And I wouldn't say he was, he asked a number of good questions. Let's leave it at that.
Fair enough. My other question was, you said that the neighbors wouldn't see the building, and I'm a little bit lost, and can you explain that to me? How tall are the buildings in the back?
The buildings, per the town's regulations, you average the building from the peak to the roof.
Yeah.
It's 30 feet. We are at that 30 feet, but we're doing a very shallow pitch on the roof, so it's
Okay.
not like it's 30 feet and then an additional 3 feet on top of it.
So if you're putting in
It's 30.
arborvitaes that someday will grow to 30 feet, how would they not see it now?
That is correct. We are proposing to, on the landscaping plan, you'll see that there is the densely vegetated back part, which is just the arborvitae's, and in the front is kind of the plants to make it look nice.
But how would they, so I thought you said the neighbors would not see it when you were done with construction. So is the arborvitae's going to be put in at 30 feet tall?
No,
So someday they're not going to see it?
correct.
Not at
30 years.
construction? Well, wait, you'll get your chance.
Don't.
But I just am trying to understand your statement. I thought you were telling us after construction they wouldn't see it. That's not accurate.
The trees we are proposing do grow on average of 1 to 2 feet per year.
No, I have them in my house too, but it takes a long time to get them to 30 feet. So they're going to see the house, the building when you're done with construction, correct?
Correct. And
Thank you, that was my question.
Ron? Yeah, a couple of questions. The board are against the present vet hospital that was discussed, and there's a difference of opinion. You do show something that's called proposed screening tree line. Can you explain what that means?
Currently, right now on site, there is, the animal hospital's rear property is forested. It is fairly dense. We couldn't actually, to locate property corners, and then when we did the survey, it took us quite a while to go through there. So it is a screening tree line. The whole woods are it's a dense forest, so there is that. And then we are proposing to actually plant some trees along there to kind of add to it, other than where the parking kind of comes right up, but the rest of it will be a proposed tree line planting to help.
Okay, can you elaborate when you say plant some trees?
There is a landscaping plan in the
Yeah,
submission.
but it says the same thing. It just says proposed screening tree line.
We are proposing. Oh. The existing trees that are there, we are proposing to keep, dead ones be replaced. We are not actually proposing to plant trees along the parking right there. We are keeping the existing tree line that is there and trying to keep it healthy.
The existing tree line is not on your property.
It
It's
does.
on the neighbor's property.
The trees do come, some of the trees are on our property, on the 404 Washington Avenue property. We will try to maintain those, but correct, most of the trees are on the neighbor's property.
I guess what he's saying is he's proposing that that tree line would provide the screening. So I understand what you're saying, it's existing. If I could just clarify a little bit what Bernie had said earlier, I just want to clarify this. I don't know that there's a conflict necessarily, but I think the commission's the ultimate judge. I don't disagree with anything Bernie said. What happened is the veterinary hospital has a use that shows up on the assessor's card. There's an apartment upstairs. So I went down there, I don't know if there's an apartment there or not, but I went down there and I spoke with a girl at the counter, and she said they hadn't used the apartment in about 7 years. So I had a conversation, and I asked to have Dr. Jolly call me, who's the veterinarian and one of the owners, and he called up, and I had a frank conversation with him, and he said, no, they don't have anyone there residentially at this time. What the reg says, and I think Bernie cited that properly, where such lines are adjacent to any residentially zoned property or any property used for residential purposes. So there's no use there at this moment. What they have is they have records up there, I believe. They have some files up there from the veterinary hospital. But the Planning and Zoning Commission is the ultimate judge as to what that use is. If they come in tomorrow and say, we want to put an apartment back there, I don't know that the use has been supplanted or not. I'm not sure what is. But that's what it is. It's not necessarily a conflict. We're both saying the same thing, but you be the judge in terms of that. Along the property that has the small residential use and the liquor store, aircraft package, that has a current residential use, no question. And if you look at their sheet 7, I think it is, 5 of 10, they show a buffer, 25-foot landscape buffer in there, which would be required. So again, they're proposing to not buffer along the use to the rear that apparently has somewhat lapsed. But anyway, and in terms of the parking, there are a couple different ways to go on the parking. They have a shared parking option. You know, the fundamental parking requirement is 1 per bedroom, and then the appropriate parking for the use, so 1 per 250 square feet for the office use. So they're providing that amount. One of the things that I fought for in the regulation was just the sentence that the commission may require additional parking at its discretion, or also the Planning and Zoning Commission may hire a traffic consultant to obtain technical advice concerning a proposed UMU development at the expense of the applicant. So there's 2 features in there that sort of establish a dialogue, if you will.
Most of my other questions or comments are centered around the parking issue. Part of it has to do with echoing the chief of police comments or questions that he's concerned that there's not enough additional parking spaces for visitors, which could cause problems with people parking, you know, taking other tenant spaces or parking on neighboring properties. I'm sure there's a whole list of things that could go wrong, and I would tend to agree with the chief of police in this case. I also have a concern, which is one I expressed many times, that there is, once you get the buildings in and the landscaping in and everything else, there's not 1 inch of space to pile up snow. And everybody says, and I'm sure everybody has the best of intention, that they will bring in trucks at their own expense and load up snow and remove it. But I've never in my life seen that done. What happens is the snow gets piled and you start to lose more parking spaces. And then I also see, or at least if I'm reading it correctly, there is no sidewalk provided to allow people to get from the 2 rear buildings out to Washington Ave. So if you were, whether or not you were trying to get out there to a store or to buy a cup of coffee or to a school bus or whatever, you're forced to walk through the middle of the parking lot and across 2 busy traffic lanes. It just doesn't seem like a safe traffic or pedestrian pattern to me. That, I mean, it doesn't even show crosswalks right now, so people could go willy-nilly wherever they wanted to. Doesn't strike me as a good plan. So for sort of all those reasons, I don't think you have enough parking space. And as the regulations say, as Alan said, we can at our discretion ask for more. I choose to exercise that discretion. I'm not speaking for the rest of the commission, but I'm telling you which direction I'm going to be going. So.
Hey, Ron, could you hold on just a second, Teresa, if you could?
Yep.
Good, Teresa?
I'm gonna pick up on Ron regarding the parking spaces. The lack of crosswalks and sidewalks, but you have 24 2-bedrooms in here. I'm quite sure that there are gonna be somebody moving in with children. There's absolutely no space at all for them. I mean, you're not supposed to really be using the buffers for anything. If somebody has a dog, what are you going to do with the dog? What are you going to do with the kids? And he's right about walking up, not having any sidewalk, not having a way to get to the front, because in the other apartments, you do have children. So you're going to have the same thing. So there's not enough parking, and, you know, it's quite congested with the size of the buildings that you have put on, and, you know, there's just absolutely no space. It's sandwiched in like New York. So I am going to echo the parking issue for sure and question the other ones.
Good for the moment? Okay, good. Ron, just let me skip over to you.
Well, that's it for now. So
Yeah, I'm done.
You're all
when
set.
this comes up.
Rich?
We do have the architect, by the way, just so you know. I have one more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, just let me, if there's anything from Rich?
Well, what?
You go along with the tree line and the fence and all of that. How about lighting that would He's shining over onto the neighbor's property.
There is actually a lighting plan attached in the set of plans per, it is done by one of the coworkers in the office who has done lighting plans for numerous towns. There is no, as it's called, light trespass onto the neighbor's property. I believe we're not even close along where the buffer would be, and then the buffer does create a lighting barrier, excuse me. So I believe it is sheet 5 or 6 where there is a lighting plan attached in the set 6. So to simplify all the numbers, if there's a 0, there is no light trespass. And then there's concentric circles showing where the brightness levels of the lights are. So, I actually have it on me. So per this sheet here, there are zeros all around the perimeter of the site. That is our goal, to provide the light, so there's adequate lighting in the parking lot, yet no light trespass onto the neighbor's property. So that's how the lights, the particular lights are chosen, where they are placed, so that way there is no light trespass onto neighbor's property. And
Lou?
I don't think there's enough parking area. I could just see right now cars parked in back to other cars, running out of space. And the spaces are, to my, they're too narrow to begin with. Doors bring into other cars.
Right, do you have any questions here at the moment?
You just, more, you need more space.
Okay. Ed? Okay. Okay, we can, Ron, did you want to get back in?
I'd like to hear the architect's
Yeah.
section of the presentation.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, well, Bernie, go ahead and continue your presentation here. Once we got going in the board, it got a little carried away, but.
Come up and see it. You can come up and look.
This is Bob Mangino, he's our project architect. I want to have him kind of go over the model with you, tell you a little bit about the exterior finishes, and answer any questions you might have.
For the record, Bob is the architect.
Sorry, I need
Oh,
a microphone.
you got-
You need to come over here.
Sorry.
And speak loudly, please.
For the record, Robert Mangino, architect, office in Guilford, Connecticut. I provide the architectural floor plan, the design, the architectural model. Because these buildings are 3 semi-large buildings, I broke them up into small facades. If you see on the plan, we have a 30-foot, then we set back maybe 10 feet. So I have a bunch of jogs, so it's more of like a residential scale. If you go down the street, you have houses back and forth. So I wanted to make sure those forms were back and forth. Never a flat roof. It looks too commercial, so we definitely had a pitched roof to give it some residential character. Residential windows, combination of some vinyl siding, and some stucco or drive it. Energy efficient, fully sprinkled building. We think that the scale and the character of the building feels comfortably on the site. We have 3 buildings. 2 of them are a certain size. One's a little larger. The front one has the combination commercial with the apartments. I show that in my model, sidewalks all the way around, so hopefully it will reflect on the site plan that if you get out the building, you can actually, walk around each of these buildings as I show on my architectural plan, because you don't walk out of the door and go onto the street. So we'll have some sidewalks that are fit in there. We have a landscaping plan. The main thing, does it fit the character? Will it look comfortably in the back of the site? As basically as a backdrop to the other buildings. We know there's residential buildings on the backside, so I want to make sure that this sort of has that residential character. It meets the height requirements, meets the zoning requirements. Hopefully on the plus side, the building is a comfortable fit, has a good design, and should we meet the approvals of this commission, it will look like that model.
Okay, is that your presentation?
Yes.
You're done. Okay, Bernie, you want us to give a question now for him? You want to take questions?
Sure. Of course.
Okay, Ron, you want?
I compliment you and the owner on the architectural style. It is broken up nicely, different finishes, a different roof line. I personally prefer a pitched roof compared to the flat roof. I think architecturally it's going to be very, very attractive. I think one or two of the buildings might need to be a little bit smaller, but the architectural style, I'd give you, kudos for.
Okay, thank you. Two of the buildings are smaller than the front one because we met basic site plan requirements, but hopefully the architectural will make the project a doable project.
Bob, I have a question for you about the building height. You have a cross-section on sheet A4, and I look at the math and I see the 35-foot maximum height, which was mandated by the regulation. And with a 90-foot width on a building, I'll just throw the question out there, are you sure you can make that work? If we're going, you cut it in half, you got 45 feet. How much height are we gonna have? If we go with a 12.5 pitch, we're gonna be up over 35 feet pretty quickly.
Again, on this model, the reason we have a lot of jogs is, this is the shallowest pitch. If I put a whole bunch of these things, I end up with 6-12 pitches, 8-12 pitches, so I have to break it up into these smaller modules so you can get a steeper pitch. This, sure, it's a shallower pitch, it has the same ridge line. So in terms of my math, I think we have either 8 or 9 feet, 4.5 feet below and 4.5 feet above. But the shallowness feels comfortable because I want to accent it with, this portion of the building is 24 feet wide. So that has a certain pitch. This is 30. This is 90, sure. But the 90 is basically the backdrop for all the smaller roofs. So that's why I treated it as a bunch of little pieces.
All that makes sense. I would like to see a cross-section. What we really have is a wall section, but I would love to see a cross-section that would illustrate how it'll comply.
And I didn't understand that answer, but I'm not going to understand that answer. But just help me out here, because you said 4 feet up and 4 feet down. Will it nowhere be more than 35 feet high?
No, it will. And this is the question we had over on 555 Pool Road about the height of the building. So if you look at it, the height of the building is a maximum of 35 feet, and Mr. Mangino illustrates that on the drawing. But what that is measured to is the midpoint between the peak of the roof and the eave. So if the total height of the roof is 15 feet, it would be another 7.5 feet to the peak from the measured point. So if it's 35 feet, it'd be 42.5 feet to that peak. Zoning height is 35 feet. That's the midpoint between the peak and the eave.
But for the record, I'll check my section, because I actually put the size of the trusses, so I actually gave you basically the attic floor. So I believe I go 4.5 feet up, so I'm 4.5 feet. I give you the exact dimension. So we have the 35, I think it's 4.5 feet below to the gutter line, 4.5 feet, so we conform it. No, I can't make it that high, because then my attic floor is too low to get my 3 stories.
I got you. You took the mean and then...
That's it.
You took the mean and that's it.
Yes,
Yeah,
but it's a
you got
shallow roof. On the main roof, it looks steeper on the other sides, but does not exceed your 35-foot mean level.
I understand exactly.
Where does it say mean in the regulation? That's what I'm not understanding, because it says
What it says is
maximum height, 35 feet.
35 feet of height. If we go elsewhere in our regulations, it says building height is defined as, on gable roofs or hip roofs, the midpoint between the peak and the eave.
Does it say that in this amendment?
No, it does not.
Thank you.
It does not define it in the amendment. It defines it in elsewhere in the reg. It just says you have 35 feet.
Elsewhere.
The flats were flat roofs.
Okay,
But to answer your question,
it's going to be more than 30.
yes.
Right.
Which I don't understand how that fits to the, you've used, the other regulations say that makes it fit within this regulation.
The definition, not a reg. Your definition states that, not your reg.
But the definitions apply to this, you're telling me?
Yeah, it's not defined.
Says that? Yeah, it doesn't say that.
In the UMU section, it's defined in the general section elsewhere in the reg.
Okay.
Yeah, so again, when we analyze the regs, we always find a definition of what floor area is, floor ratio, ground coverage, and we check building height, And your definition defines building height as basically the halfway point.
Well, but this became a big issue with some of our other projects too. When you're right up against neighbors, that saying, okay, the median is, it's not fine to go over 35, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
You'll
I-
get- well,
now I
we'll get to that,
understand.
Jim. Yeah,
I'm not sure I agree, but I understand. Thank you.
okay, good. Teresa, do you
I'm
have anything
fine
right
right
now?
now. Right
Okay.
now, I'm fine. Thank you.
Ed, you're okay now? Hold on one second. Richie, are you okay right now?
So the top of that peak is going to be 4.5 feet higher than the 35-foot.
Didn't hear your answer, sir.
Right.
I didn't hear your answer.
We'll
Yes.
get into that later.
I can confirm the measurement, we defined how actually we're going to construct it in terms of height of the trusses going all the way up, so we give you exact dimension, and again, if it's approved, then we simply put on the site plan as that's we'll not exceed that height, and leave it at that. Again, if we choose to make a little less, then my proportions go in terms of the roof. We like the character of that roof, with the mean of regs and getting the pitches on my little gables.
Thank you.
Okay, Lou, you got anything to add? Okay, Ron, you want to get into here a little bit?
Can you just confirm my assumption that there are no balconies and no patios? Is that correct?
No balconies, no patios. Whatever you see on the model, that's it. No balconies, no patios. Don't want that. Two things. There's the issues, and it's a nice, clean facade.
I just have,
I'll get you.
okay. Oh, go ahead. I thought you said-
You all set? Okay,
I was
go ahead,
looking at
Teresa.
it. I have one more question. You talked about sidewalks, but what I'm looking at is there are no sidewalks that go around any of the buildings fully around, correct?
Well, whatever's been
That
established
is
on the site
correct. So
plan.
we have it around part of this building and part of that building.
There are no entrances or exits along the back of the building, so I did not feel it was important to have sidewalks there because then someone could be walking along and seeing to someone else's apartment. So
Okay.
that was-
Okay, thanks.
Okay, are we good in the commission for a moment? Okay, Bernie, you ready?
For now, you can go to the public.
You know, I do have just one more question, it's just to clarify with Matt. You show a driveway, an entry driveway that's 24 feet wide? Okay, so one of our comments is that,
You didn't hear an answer to that.
Oh, sorry, yes, correct.
Thank you.
so one of our comments is just that you would be required to have DOT approval.
Correct.
So that's something they don't really like to look at the projects until after they're approved, et cetera. We ended up on the flats, doesn't align with a traffic light, but we ended up on the flats going 3 lanes, 38 feet of width, and there were some transitional issues. So I just want to put on the record, if there is a 3rd lane required by DOT, then that's what we require.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Didn't that result in the loss of some parking spaces?
I think it did. I think there were a couple, there were definitely some massaging that had to be done to get that in there, but
Yeah, well, they could get it in, I think, Ron. If you had to get it in, it would get it in there. But we talked about putting it in now.
Correct.
But in any event, if the commission is good, and Alan and you and Jonathan are good,
yeah, well, we, you know,
well,
yeah, we
can get
mentioned
back
that,
in
that's fine.
anytime.
Sure.
Okay. Bernie? No?
I'm good. Let's do public comments. Let's do public comments first.
Okay.
38.
I figured something like that. Okay. All right, here we're gonna get into the public here. And is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of this application? I want you to speak, come forward and right to the mic and state your name. Anyone here in favor? Okay, is there anyone here in opposition? Step right up, miss.
So my
Yeah,
question,
ma'am.
sorry, Danielle Walker?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Danielle Walker
And your address,
is 28 Robin Court.
Robin Court?
Mhm.
Thank you.
We live directly behind Fantasia. Sorry, we live directly behind Fantasia. The lights from the banquet hall, the noise, the traffic is already an issue. They're talking about putting something larger, taller, more space, bringing more people in, literally butting up against residential houses that have been there for years. We live on a nice, quiet, dead-end street. I've, raised my little girl there. It's been a wonderful, safe place. And I guess what I'm seeing with this proposed construction is we already have issues with, there was supposed to be a 50-foot buffer between the end of the parking lot of Fantasia and our property. It has not been maintained. I want to say last spring or last summer, I was in the backyard with my daughter and we heard noise. We heard construction equipment. So I went back to look behind our fence and the owner was there with machinery plowing everything. The brush, the small trees, getting rid of that vegetative buffer, getting rid of the noise buffer, the light buffer, the privacy buffer. It's already been brought up that the type of trees that they plan on planting to try and make it more private and to block the site of the residential area, the trees that they have now are the ones that they planted. I believe it's been over 20 years since Fantasia has been there. Am I correct in that? I'm not sure when exactly it went in, but it's been over 20 years. I planted a pine tree in our backyard around the same time, and it's towering over the trees that they planted. There is no privacy. Those trees are skinny, they're scraggly. They just pulled 3 of them out prior to the storm, very large trees that are now leaving gaps that let light pollution in that we see in our sunroom when we're sitting watching TV at night. I guess my question is this sort of building really a good fit that close to a residential area? Is this sort of building, is there sufficient space that it's not going to cause a problem with the parking, cause a problem with the neighbors having more noise and light pollution? When my daughter's in the pool in the backyard, it would be nice to not have to worry about 3 stories of apartment buildings looking over our pool and seeing my 6-year-old swimming. So that's where I'm coming from as a mother and as someone who's literally in their backyard.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss. Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Tim DeBase. I live at 20 Robin Court, basically right behind Fantasia. I don't think...
What's your last name, sir?
DEBAISE. I don't think anybody on Robin Court wants this. 109 apartment buildings. I mean, I don't want to say when people rent, they don't own it, they don't care about it. So you kind of get, I don't want to say trash, but it's right in our backyard. And as far as Mr. Pellegrino was talking about the letter that was sent out for the cocktail buffet, I got home from work at 8 o'clock on that night when I got it in the mail. And I went to my neighbors and they got the same letter the same day, the day of. So how are you supposed to go? And Mr. Pellegrino said there was one person that wanted it and one wasn't sure. How can we even go and express our opinion when it was in our mailbox that day? And I'm not home at 11 o'clock to get my mail to find out that something like this is going on.
Okay, do you feel that you have not had enough time to express your feeling to the applicant?
Absolutely. I mean,
that's all I want.
Why was it even sent out so late? I mean, why even send it out? You know?
I don't know, but he's going to answer that.
Okay. Well, before he does that, so now, does anybody in this room want 109 apartments in their backyard? Point to every one of you. Would you like that? Abutting your property line. Would anybody in this room, I know the people that live in 20 Robin Court would not want it. Like Danielle said, these houses were here long before. If we bought it when they were already here, okay, I guess so be it. We know what it is. But 109 apartments, that's right in our backyard. I don't want it. It's gonna make our property value go down like crazy.
Okay.
And then lighting and noise. I mean, we hear Fantasia as it is. There isn't anybody living there.
Well, I understand what you're saying. By all means, just, bring it out, all your feelings, and we're going to try to get answers for your question.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I say, everybody on Robin Court that I know of is not
Are
for
you
this.
speaking for everyone on?
Well, everybody can get up and talk.
Okay, that's what.
And then the parking is an issue too. I'm in the landscaping and the snow plowing business, and one of these fellows here said there's not an inch of room to push snow. So where's everybody gonna park? What are they gonna park, like on the side of Glen Road or something? Like, where's everybody gonna park? And not only that, if you have one bedroom apartment, you're allowing one parking space. What about if they got visitors? Like, where's everybody gonna park? And then the thing with arborvitaes, I think it was already brought up, arborvitaes grow a foot a year. So you can't even buy 30-foot arborvitaes. And I'm sure they ain't gonna buy 10-footers because they're about $400 a piece. So if they're gonna plant 4-foot arborvitaes, 3-foot arborvitaes, it's gonna take 30 years to grow.
Yep. How long have you lived, Robin?
All my life,
Thank you.
all my life.
Good
Thank you.
enough, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
My name is William Walker. I live at 28 Robin Court with my wife and my mother-in-law. So this property is directly behind us, as has already been discussed multiple times. The storm that just happened, I have pictures. When that tree came down and it destroyed the property line where that fence was, they fixed one fence, they didn't fix ours. There is still trash behind the fence, which was never cleaned up. Most of the growth back there it's weed growth that happens every year. In the winter, that dies off. It's gone. When you have snow plowed through it, that 50-foot buffer, if you get enough snow in there, it's not going to stop it. You look at Walmart, how big those snow buffers are, it's going to push through to that property. Right? That's dangerous. You have the issue of privacy. But the biggest one, let's go back to the fact of traffic. You have what? Amazon and a second business going across the street? That entrance is almost directly across the street from where this current entrance is. It's not just one side that's going to pick up traffic, it's two sides. Where are those people going to go? They're going to filter out into the neighborhood. They're going to start parking on the streets, then we're going to have people wandering around. It becomes a safety issue. You don't know who's in your neighborhood anymore. It's not somebody having a summer party, somebody having a birthday party. It's you've got a festival right behind our house, but it's in all the neighborhoods at any given point because they've got no place to park. It's all going to filter over. So you've got traffic, you've got privacy, you've got a privacy buffer that hasn't been maintained, and it's not cleaned up. There's junk back there. It's been there for a month and a half. How is this going to change with this property? As he said, you have people they're renting. They don't care. Where's that trash going to go? It comes into our property. It comes into our pool. Our kids get to find it.
Okay.
And I have pictures of what's currently back there, if it's helpful.
Do you want to, Alan?
You want to enter them as an exhibit?
Sure.
Sure.
You have
Get 'em out.
copies as opposed to your,
I have, it's all digital. I have a PDF that I can send to somebody, or I can print it out and bring it in.
you don't have paper copies today?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
No.
No, I just took the pictures today to show where they're at right now.
Okay. Well, we're going to look at those at the moment, but
Understood.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, anyone else? Sir?
My name is Scott McKechnie. I'll spell it. It's MCKECHNIE. I'm at 24 Robin Court. I'm allowed to ask questions, right? I can ask these guys. Okay, you spoke of a lighting.
No,
direct
sir.
them to us.
You spoke of a lighting.
You can ask the questions, they're going to write them down, and they'll answer them all at once at the end.
Got it. They spoke of a lighting plan for the building. Now, no matter what, there's still going to be light spilling over. What is actually the lighting plan? Is the lighting plan for 30 years down the road when the arborvitaes grow? Or is the lighting plan for right now when they build the building? That's one of my other questions, because you're still going to get ambient light spilling over. It's just like going up on top of Sentinel Hill and you can see the stars, or being in the center of town where you can't see the stars. That's my other, you're going to get light pollution no matter what coming up. Everybody can say no, but there's your two examples. Putting this stuff this close to residents, people who have lived there, my mother-in-law's lived there her whole life. And once again, as Mr. DeBase said, when you buy next to something, you buy knowing that that's there. But now you're putting this into our backyard, which is like, hey, we're going to put an airport in your backyard. Not as extreme, but you get what I mean. So my questions is you're going to put 109 residents in our backyard. You're only going to allow for 109 parking spots. I don't know. If I live in an apartment with my wife, we have 2 cars. You're already going to start overflowing cars. Like they said, where are they going to park? Over at Goodwill, or are they going to park on Glen Road? My other question is security. What's to stop people from walking through the buffer into my backyard? It happened just a couple of months ago coming out of Fantasia. Some guys left out of there after causing a fight and they ran through the back. It was there. I heard it. I heard it all happening. Where's my security? That nobody's going to be walking through my backyard, going into my shed, going into my neighbor's shed. There is none. There's nothing there. A fence? Big deal. I can get over a fence. That's what I'm getting at. There's a lot of unanswered questions, and that's what I want to know. I want to know what the lighting issue is, what they're going to provide for security so we can't get to the back, so nobody can get from the back of these buildings into my property. And the other thing is where's all the mechanicals going to be for this building? Are they going to be on the back side? So for the first 15 years until the arborvitaes grow, I've got to look at air conditioning units. I've got to look at fire pumps. I've got to look at sprinkler system equipment. I've got to look at everything that's the outside mechanicals. What am I going to be looking at for the first 15 years? Or more? Those are my questions. Thank you very much.
Sir. Thank you very much. Anyone? Sir? Young lady, you're next.
John Criscio, C-R-I-S-C-I-O. I'm the owner of 32 Robin Court, directly behind. My sister-in-law Lisa lives there. So I can't say I share the fervency of these people who have lived there all their lives. However, what I do want to do is make a comment, just for the record. I feel sorry for Washington Avenue. I think it's going to be turned into Broadway. It's going to be to the point where if you want to get from Stop and Shop down to the Mercedes-Benz dealership, you better pack a lunch. Because with Town Fair Tire going in at the Rustic Oak, beautiful where they were in the back, perfect for an operation like that. To be moved on Main Street, what quality are we saying we want of the aesthetics of our town? You know, I'll be blunt. You go to Madison, go to Gill, you look at the town squares, they're beautiful. They're New England. We're turning it into New York. And that's really all I got to say. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Young lady?
Just say your name, first and last.
I'm Zoe, Z-O-E, Walker, and I think that I don't like that people can just walk into other people's backyards. I think that's unacceptable. And I think that we shouldn't do this because for privacy and for other people to feel safe.
Very well said.
Thank you very much, young lady. Anyone else have, Miss?
My name's Kathy Federico, F-E-D-E-R-I-C-O, 28 Robin Court. Initially, when this started, we got a letter from the attorney saying that there were going to be some changes. Then we got another letter, as Mr. DeBase said, they were going to have a cocktail hour for us. I had issues with two people at Fantasia, Reno and Giuseppe Floriano. What had happened was during that storm that we had a humongous tree come down. It was, to my eyesight, was in the 50-foot buffer. It came down between Jack's sister-in-law's house, fence, and mine. I went to Fantasia to speak with them, and I said, you have to remove that tree out of my yard. When I tell you from that corner to here, rounded was the tree. The ball of that tree was this big. Jack seems to feel it was on his property line. I was there when the day after the tree fell. When I went to Fantasia, Giuseppe said to me, Joe Floriano said to me, we have to contact our insurance companies. I said, excuse me? I said, it's not my tree. I said, I want it out of my yard. It's damaged my fence, pushed my fence forward. My husband bought beautiful panels. There's a split, there's an opening, it's a mess. Well, he fixed Lisa's fence. Mine is still a mess. He says to me, oh, this is no good, it's rotted. I said, it's not rotted, it's peeling. My husband, God bless him, used to paint. He loved to paint. I lost my husband this past August. And when I went to see them and he told me that I had to contact my insurance company, I said, no, I don't. I said, it's not my tree. I said, number one, my husband passed away. I said, I'm living on a very fixed income, and you're telling me that I have to have that tree cut up? I said, it's not going to happen. I said, it's your tree, it's your property, I want it out of my yard. Well, long story short, I went out the day they were cutting up the tree. The kids that did it were fabulous. They couldn't do anything about that big ball of the tree. All the roots, the dirt, they couldn't move it. But it's not Jack's responsibility to move it. Now that's up against his sister-in-law's fence, and mine is a mess. Now, when we got the letter from the attorney, I had a long conversation with Giuseppe. Nothing was said that this was happening. There were, Jack, you got a letter, correct?
Yeah.
I got a letter. My neighbor, Steffi, got a letter. Catherine didn't get one. So there were three of us, or four of us, on the street that got a letter saying that something was happening. Nobody contacted us to let us know exactly what was going to be done.
Can I ask a question about the letter?
Absolutely.
Was it sent certified or was it a regular letter?
No,
Okay.
it's a regular letter.
Thank you.
Just give me a minute, I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. What upsets me more than anything is that 50-foot buffer was done a number of years ago. Not only did they take down 3 trees, they went behind the animal hospital and they leveled that ground. Supposedly, it was going to be for more parking, but nothing was ever done. And when I spoke to Giuseppe, he said to me he didn't want to do this anymore. He said you can't get kids to work anymore, but never said that they were going to level Fantasia and build this. I would say it was probably 10 years ago, what was done to the pool. We have an 18 by 36 pool in our backyard, and it's got a thing all around it, and shrubs, and we were away for the day. Every time Fantasia has an affair, I shouldn't say every time, numerous times, that they have an affair in their building, all of the lights shine right into my sunroom. Especially now that they've taken out the 3 trees, because the whole left side is almost bare. I mean, the trees probably are as tall as me, shrubs and whatnot. But we had gone out for the day. We've had issues where people that had a little too much to drink raised Cain in the parking lot. There were fights out there. My daughter couldn't leave her windows open because the noise volume when people were coming and going. Well, we had somebody come in our backyard when we were gone, and they threw a brick into our pool and ripped the liner, and we had to go and get a new liner. So, being butted up against my fence, I don't want this here. Nobody on the street wants this here, because everybody on the street is friendly with one another, but it's going to impact 4 houses, which is not fair. And like everybody says, between the, whatever they're called, Timmy?
Arborvitaes?
Yes. It takes too long to grow. When Reno had the 3 trees cut down, they were going to replace it. Never did. Nothing's been done. So I'm just frustrated and angry and sick about this.
Okay.
And the rest of the neighbors feel the same way.
Okay, well, we're going to hear from them. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, anyone else? Anyone else like to speak? Anyone else from Robin Court there that would like to speak? You would like to speak?
No, I'm on Robin Court, right
Okay.
behind.
Okay, but you don't care to speak?
No, she's okay. She just can't hear me.
Okay, okay.
She doesn't want it.
No, I
She doesn't want it, yeah.
No, listen, I'm trying to, I'm just trying to let everybody have their opportunity to speak. Okay, if that's it, Bernie, I come back to you.
Well, I'd like to try to answer a few of those questions, just to get those questions answered. We've received your comments. We'd like to go back and look at some of those issues, see if we can't address or analyze those a little.
Speak up a
Sorry.
little bit more.
So let me just answer the question so we can get that. I did send certified letters to all of the abutters, including Mrs. Federico, who were required to receive them. There was a second letter that our client delivered relative to the meeting that we had.
Right.
That didn't come from me.
No, that was my question though, and I guess I was gonna ask you and you can maybe answer it.
Sure.
When did those letters go out with that meeting?
I don't know.
Right, okay.
I didn't, we
But,
picked a date and.
Along those lines, I mean, it seems pretty clear, you haven't effectively communicated very well with the neighbors, based on what we're hearing.
Yeah.
And then, just to be fair to you, and I'm only one vote like everybody else, I'd meet with them, because you have...
I'm with you.
You're not required to, I get it, but I would strongly suggest it based on what we're hearing.
And not just those 4 abutters, because there's people who live across the street. It also affects on the other side of Robin Court. I would make that suggestion perhaps to your...
Well, we can talk
client.
about that.
Yes, okay.
Well, because it becomes an issue before we gotta figure it out before we go into deliberations. It's the only-
No, I was going to talk about it long before we
Okay,
get
that's
to
fine.
that.
Yeah, I was suggesting we wouldn't close the hearing.
Right, fair
that's-
enough.
That's what my plan is. The lighting plan, maybe I'm stepping on Matt's toes, but I think the lighting plan is done in accordance with how lighting plans are done to prevent spill runoff from our lights onto the property based on the fixtures and the distance from, they are cutoff fixtures. Do you have those? We can show you the cutoff fixtures to prevent light from going up, and given the distance and the throw.
And I get that, but that again ties into the same thing. They haven't seen the plans, and your plans have the lighting plan, which does show how far the light actually does spills, but these people haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll care for it anyway, but they should at least get a chance to see it.
Parking, and we're going to talk about parking. We actually, I think he asked about 109 spaces. It's actually 147 spaces
I get it.
proposed. Security, I guess we'll talk about security. A 6-foot vinyl fence around the rear of the property, he may be able to get over it, but I don't think I could. And you'd have to get through 30 feet, 50 feet of plants and trees to get there. I know nothing's foolproof, but that's what we're proposing as a buffer. The mechanicals, Bob, maybe you can answer that. Where are the mechanicals going to be located?
Again, if there's any mechanical units, the majority are 3 foot tall. They'd be screened in the areas around each of the buildings. So in essence, if they're here, if they're on the site, there will be more than a 3 foot high unit sitting on the ground as a mechanical condenser to take care of the apartments.
But would that be in the back of the building that is facing the neighbors?
Yeah, the way we have 5 units in the back, 5 in the front. So we're going to try and put them on the side. So we're going to offset them, maybe put 2 here because you have maximum runs of 30 feet. So maybe put 2 here and have maybe just 1 or 2, which is in the center of the building. But again, no higher than basically the 3 foot high screened area. These apartment units are only 800 square feet, so they're a lot smaller than what you have for a house. There's nothing tall, nothing above the ground. There's nothing like balconies to look down. Those mechanicals. That's why there's nothing on the rooftops. Everything's low to the ground.
Okay. And we'll look at the issues. I mean, I think, and maybe some of the neighbors can go look, we did a very similar project at 520 Washington. And it's almost an identical layout, given the distance of buildings, the location to the property, and I think location of houses on the road to the rear in relation to the current houses. I'm not aware that there's been any parking issues there. The parking calculations are nearly identical from what we're using in our calculation for parking, which was used by the developer for 520. I have the report, and we utilize the report in putting together our calculations. We'll look at it, and maybe I'll even send it in so all you guys have the benefit of it, but we'll see if we can find some more parking. But, I mean, I don't see that being as big of a concern, but because I haven't heard of any parking issues there either.
Well, the whole thing, Bernier, it appears as though you didn't communicate with the people on Robin Court. I mean, every one of these that spoke here was 28 Robin Court, 24 Robin Court, 32 Robin Court, 28 Robin Court. But I mean, I think there should be a little bit more communication to them. I mean, you don't have to do it.
Well, we'll do it again. We tried. We didn't succeed, apparently. We didn't give them enough notice. Mr. Curcio was there. The other neighbor was there. But we tried.
I understand.
Maybe we didn't do a good enough job. We're happy to do and try to meet with them and see if we can talk
We
to them
certainly
more.
want to, if you're going to come in with a project, I certainly want the neighbors to be satisfied with what's going on. And the flats up there, it was an extremely negative in the beginning. In the end, it was an acceptable situation, only because of good communication with the neighbors. I'm not telling you have to do this whatsoever, but they want some answers, and they're certainly not going to get them all tonight.
I've got another issue.
It's
I
by
have
all
a
means.
question, Vern. the dumpster enclosure, we've gone through this before. We have it directly, right at the back, right on the line where the residential people live. I mean, that was, if we can look at that, if you're gonna.
We'll look at that.
Okay, that's not acceptable. Now I'm forgetting what I'm talking about too. Okay, no, all the other things, I guess, I've already addressed. And the mechanicals too, I mean, I would be concerned that any mechanicals go on any of the back of the building where they're gonna be, where the neighbors are. So, that's it.
Okay. I took notes with the various comments that you had, and so I don't want to address those now. We're going to look at some of those issues.
Have you got any more from?
I do not. We just have to be able to.
Almost set.
Matt wants that.
Just one quick thing to, sorry.
You all set with questions? You have any questions over from the staff?
I only have one additional comment, that I think that mechanical equipment needs to be on the site
Yeah.
plans.
Yeah, I can't tell where it's going.
Sometimes we have a comment to that effect, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we make the assumption that because it's not shown, it's not going to be there. But anyway, if you have something, yeah, please, it's got to go on the site plan.
we will show that on the plans. Sorry.
Well, Bernie, what did you want? Did you want to continue this?
He just wanted to answer one question. that he
Yeah,
had.
okay.
About the lighting, to address the public's concern, I will talk to the engineer in our office. We will redo the lighting plan. We will do two, one with the trees grown and one without the trees. So during construction, they can see, we will show that there will not be light encroachment. If we have to adjust the lights, we will adjust the lights accordingly. But that way, at least the lighting we could address with, so there's no concerns about the lighting.
Well, listen, Bernie, as you well know, this commission is very sensitive to, the neighbors of any project that goes on here. And we listen to what they have to say and certainly try to address it all. And I would certainly hope you could clean this up and kind of help them up so they understand what's going on there. And whatever has to be done, I'd like you to do it.
Okay, thank you.
You want to continue this?
So let me just clarify. So you'll have another meeting with the neighbors, and neighbors, you guys have to go.
We were never notified.
I understand, just hear me
Hold on.
out. So
Please don't speak.
they're saying to us that they will have another meeting with you. So attend the meeting, be respectful. Listen, you don't have to agree with them, but please attend the meeting. Okay, that's the only thing. Good enough.
So we'll continue it. Our August meeting is on Monday the 6th at 7 o'clock, right in this room, room 2.
Okay.
One more thing.
Sure, by all means, go ahead.
You're gonna have to come up to the microphone and I need your name again.
Hi, again, my name is Tim DeBase, I'm at number 20, and I'm glad you brought up the dumpster thing. I totally forgot about that. So there's gonna be maybe 1 or 2 dumpsters in an enclosed area for 109 people, or 109 apartments.
But you're going to have the opportunity to discuss
Right,
it
you
with them.
can address that there, but yes, yes.
Whatever they got, if
We're
you're not
looking at it right now.
satisfied, you just tell them. You're having an opportunity to meet with the entire staff.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be animals, and if they're on the backside, that abuts our property.
Okay, all right. Alan, I don't need a motion to.
Thanks for the model, Bob. Appreciate it.
We need a motion to continue this.
Yeah, why don't we just go through it in deliberations and just...
All right.
Okay, we're leaving it
I
open.
want to make sure that this is covered.
It's open to be continued.
Okay.
Just so everybody understands, we're not gonna make a decision on this tonight. It's been continued to next time. So that's it for that application for now. Not telling you to leave.
Hopefully you
Welcome to
you
stay.
don't have to leave if you want to stay. but
Stay if you wanna
That's
listen to other
all that's going to be
things.
discussed in respect to this.
It's really boring if you stay.
With the exception.
That's gonna be, we're not making a decision, right?
Thank you very much, and thank you for hearing the neighborhood.
Thank you guys for coming.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be some time before we get to making it.
And you said the next time everyone gets together
Dave.
will be August.
August 6th.
Yeah, August, you come in August and you'll see where we're at that point. It does not have to be voted on at that point either, because there is time left and being legally, Bernie knows, and Bernie is very good to work with.
We'll never change it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay.
Call the
We're gonna get, we're gonna go right into site plans and then, we have a site plan of P1814.
249 Second Point.
Yes.
I'm sorry, what?
Are you still recording?
Well, I will be now.
Pam, let the record show, we're gonna take the cam with this. Okay.
Good evening. Mr. Chair, members of the commission, for the record, Bernard Pellegrino. I'm an attorney with the Pellegrino Law Firm. My address is 10 Marlborough Road. Here tonight on a amendment to the site plan and amendment to the CAM, I guess, for 249 Sacker Point Road. In 2003, I think, I represented the developer who was looking to and did ultimately construct a classic car, custom car storage facility on this property. You're familiar with it, I'm sure, because it's kind of right at the corner of Sacker Point and Universal Drive, you know, kind of behind the dump on the river. And there was a condition of that approval and a condition of the wetland approval, which was amended last week to eliminate it, that a portion of the property be given to the town for the ultimate use and development as a boat launch. And shortly, well, a year or so, I think, after that approval, the town was, at that time, unwilling to accept the title to the property. The condition of approval mandated that the property be transferred prior to the issuance of a CO. So the owner came back to this commission, and you amended that approval to permit the CO to be issued. Fast forward about 14 years, at a recent, that condition and the bond of a total, I think bonds, I guess I should say, of about $60,000, I think, have been held to ensure the satisfaction of that commission, of that condition. It became apparent that for a number of reasons, the town did not want the property. At the Board of Selectmen meeting a few months ago, Jeff, who's here, met with the board, and they went over the issue, and the letter from Mr. Frieda, which I think you've seen, says, we don't want the property. There's liabilities concerns, there might be environmental concerns, there's other boat launches that weren't around then that are around now. So as a result of that determination by the Board of Selectmen, the fact that the thing has been lingering for 14 years, we filed applications with the Wetlands Commission and with this commission to eliminate that condition, release the bonds, and kind of clean up that issue. So that's why we're here.
Is Mr. Denofa going to tell us anything about this? Is there a town position here?
There is, that's why I'm here. You know, back in...
Excuse me, Mr. Duncan, microphone.
Jeff D'Onofrio.
Back in 2006, when this issue came up for the first time, it was in the context, as Attorney Pellegrino indicated, of the property being occupied and in use without a certificate of occupancy. And the impediment at that time was that the town had not received a deed both for the piece for the boat launch as well as for a 10-foot strip for the future widening of Sackett Point Road. That issue has been taken care of. They've provided the deed to the town. The issue of the town not accepting the deed for the boat launch really came down to 3 issues. Number one, based on the Phase 1 and Phase 2 environmental work that was done at the time, it looked like there were a couple $100,000 worth of remediation costs. That was in a Phase 3 that had been provided to the town at the time. And the town didn't have funds set aside for the remediation work. We had meetings with DEP at the time, and they weren't interested in funding it. We had discussions about the fact that the water-dependent use was a priority and not a requirement under the statute. The second issue had to do with the construction of the boat launch. The cost estimate that the town had done at the time was $156,000 to build the boat launch. And again, the town didn't have funds and sought funds from DEP. DEP had no interest in funding that endeavor. And then the third issue had to do with potential liability from owning the property, not environmental, but personal injury liability, because there'd be access across an easement to this property, and the town really didn't have any interest in having that liability. So the relief from the certificate of occupancy impediment occurred from this commission, and I didn't hear anything about it for 12 years. And then lo and behold, I received a call earlier this year telling me that in fact the issue had resurfaced, and I thought that it was important, since it's been a couple of administrations, to go to the current administration. So as Attorney Pellegrino indicated, I went to the Board of Selectmen a couple of months ago and advised them that the property owner is willing to provide a deed so that the town can proceed with the boat launch. However, it was my recommendation that before doing so, we would want to have current environmental testing done, since the last testing was done 14 years ago, and also discuss with them the funding issues, and they unanimously directed me to advise that they have no interest in proceeding with the boat launch. As Attorney Pellegrino alluded to, at the time, back in 2003, the idea of a boat launch seemed appealing. But since then, there's been a boat launch constructed on the Tilcon property. There's also access on the Tidal Marsh area behind, is that North Haven Commons?
Yes.
Target.
So the interest by all parties in having that boat launch access for both emergency access and recreational purposes is no longer what it was, and the town still doesn't have any money, and we don't have any idea from an environmental perspective what would be involved in the remediation. So the town's position is they'd like you to grant the application, because the applicant has always been willing to tender the deed, but the town has not been willing to and continues to not be willing to accept it. Okay? Thank you.
Good enough for me.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. That's it. Any questions for? Okay. Okay, under site plans, P8.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but just, you don't need Jeff.
Want me to hang out for deliberations or no?
Thanks.
Okay,
No,
thanks
I don't
very
think so,
much.
Jeff. Thank you very much.
Nice to see you all.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff, thanks.
Okay, moving along, now we're at P18-20. It's site plan for
We're going to continue that one with the special permit, so I guess you're up to P1822.
Okay, that takes care of that. So now we're down to P18-22, which is 243 State Street. These are
Move that over there. It's not a public hearing, so.
Good evening, my name is John Schmitz. I'm a civil engineer with BL Companies, 355 Research Parkway, Meriden, Connecticut. I'm tonight representing the applicant. 243 State Street is on the corner of State and Stiles Road. It is currently occupied by J. Rue's Restaurant, which was recently relocated a few years ago. If you're familiar with the property, along the front of the building, there's an outdoor patio. It's currently impervious area. It's fenced in. The applicant is seeking to enclose that outdoor patio, in essence making it part of the building. The parking count already, we have 115 parking spaces on the site today. There's already enough parking that accounts for the patio, so we don't need to add more parking to enclose the building. The architecture, I did submit elevations in the packet. Architecture colors will be the same as the existing building. The height won't be any higher. We're just pushing out a little bit further. We did receive the staff report. We're amenable to the recommendations. And my understanding is there is a shed that is on order, will be delivered. There's a previous approval for a small structure at the rear of the site, and we do intend to construct that in the next, probably this summer. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
were you planning to close it in all the way around, or you put some glass in there to keep it lighted in there?
So, well, it's just an expansion of, I guess, the bar area, pushing it further. So the windows, the way it looks, let me show you the elevation I brought. So the front entrance is at this location. This kind of represents the front of the building, just more windows. It's pretty much what you see today. It's just going to be pushed out further.
You're just going to push that right out?
Right. So where the fence is today, the patio, it's the same size. So it's approximately 15 feet out, it's about 70 feet wide. The handicap parking that's there today will still be there. There will still be a sidewalk there. We're just converting the patio space into restaurant space, into more seating, so it's enclosed.
Yeah.
It's about 1,000 square feet, a little over 1,000 square feet.
I mean, is that wall going to come right out, this wall out, and put a new wall? Or are you going to keep both two walls there?
There'll be opening, so it'll be a new space, and it'll all be enclosed. So it won't be a seasonal space.
It'll be a four-season.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll be open to the inside of the restaurant. So that wall will just basically be open completely.
Most definitely to make the staff, you haven't.
Yeah.
I mean, you're pretty familiar with.
Well, here's, listen, I don't have any issue with what you're proposing to do. What you're gonna do is take the patio, and you no longer have a patio, right? You're gonna make it all restaurant space.
That's correct.
You said there's enough parking, and I'm sure under the calculation enough parking, but there are nights there are not enough parking. We're all familiar with you guys are doing great. Got a lot of cars parked Friday and Saturday night all the way up and down the road. So there's really not enough parking in the lot. My only reservation about this proposal is that you don't ever come back here later and say, we want a patio, and we're gonna lose some spaces, because you can't lose any spaces. You don't have enough now.
Yeah, I would just say the only way, I mean, obviously, looking at the site plan from an engineering standpoint, we do have an above-ground detention pond at the rear of the site.
Yeah.
So if there was any requirement, I mean, if there was a need, you could always go with underground detention, which so you could conceivably fit more, but at the time,
What I'm saying to you is so that we're clear for later on. If you come back and at some point and say you want a patio, unless you come up with some more spaces somewhere, I'm telling you, I'll tell you, you're not gonna get a patio. And I like patios. I'm disappointed that this is your choice, but it's your business, good for you. And I'm okay with it, I'm okay with the whole thing, but there's not enough parking there when it's really busy. So if you lose spaces, you can't lose end spaces. And this doesn't lose it, you're just enclosing, I get it, and I'm okay with it. But you are now not gonna have a patio. I think patios are nice things, I like to see them. But I don't have a problem with it, I just don't want to see 3 years from now, or 2 years from now, because people come back and they tell us, well, patio would be a good idea. Not if you lose, frankly, one space. Just one guy talking.
Well, no, I think I agree 100%, but the fact of the matter is, you're just enclosing what's being used as a patio, outside dining, and you're just enclosing that to make the building larger.
There should be no more
But
outside
the calculation is already calculated for seating in that area, but you can't come back and push it out and say, we want to put a patio out in front of that without picking up some parking places someplace.
Right, correct. Which has nothing to do with this application.
I'm fine.
Good.
Good.
Ed?
I've got a similar concern, and I'm glad Jay Ruse is doing great, but every time that I've been there and seen, like Jim commented, cars parked up and down the street, every time there's been empty parking spaces in the parking lot. People are just too lazy to drive into the parking lot. They just pull off to the curb. And I think it creates an unsafe condition. It's also unsightly because they pull off the side, they mess up the grass and everything else, and it's just not designed that way. I'm all in favor of the plan, but I would like to request that the engineer and the applicant work with staff to come up with signage or bollards or boulders or whatever to make it, in my opinion, it should be made physically impossible for people to park on the side of the road. Park in the parking lot, which is what you designed it for, and we approved. We did not approve street parking.
I understand you're saying, but you don't approve street parking, the police do. So the police would have to prohibit street parking. The police would have to prohibit it through an action of the police commission. So they're gonna keep that parking there. Someone would have to go to the police commission, and that's their decision to get rid of the parking on the street. Then they would have to put up signage and handle it in that manner. But it's something that's beyond your jurisdiction in terms of not allowing that. You can do what you want when you get on the site, but that's the issue. They would tend to only do that if there's some sort of hazard or problem with it. So I don't know that staff can do all the working we want, but I'm not sure what we could do to prohibit it. They could put up signs that said, please park in the lot first, or,
People will still ignore it.
Yeah, the people who
Whatever you
ignore
like.
it now
No, I know it.
would
I
still.
get it. I understand the problem.
So you're saying that legally we can't do anything?
You can't.
We cannot.
Yes,
We
correct.
cannot.
So the police commission has jurisdiction over that. But if you, like I say, you can tweak it a bit.
Contact the police commission and ask them to do something about it?
When you say ask them to do something about it, I think that's, we could inquire as to what the interest level of the chief of police would be in terms of proposing that to the commission. We could do that. And if you look, my theory on parking too is, if you went out with a trundle wheel and you measured the distance from those spaces on Stiles Lane, they're closer to the door than the spaces that are in the back of the parking lot. So you can discern that exact dimension by where people will park, etc. So you kind of get what you get, but they can put up signs that said, we encourage you to park in a lot, or we like you to, or what have you. You can do that.
Yeah.
We can't prohibit it on the street.
I just want to add one more thing, just in regards to some of the seating. The new expansion, there'll be new windows that'll actually be able to open. So during nice weather months, they'll still be able to open the windows to get some fresh air in and out.
Well, that was
which you
that was
can't
my
do today.
question.
Which you can't do
We're gonna
today.
be able to get at least a little bit of patio feeling.
Yeah.
And that is what it's going to be, is that right?
I'm sorry?
That is what it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's restaurant.
Okay. Anything over here, Louis?
No, as far as the parking on the street, it's a dead-end street, it's real wide, and a lot of trucks, they'll pull over and go have lunch over there. I've done it myself. In the area.
Well, it's a police matter, I mean, that's...
I don't see any reason to put no parking on it.
John, I have two questions.
What spot in that street do you park on?
Did you look at the as-built, the two islands that should be at the ends of those roads? That's just they're not there yet.
I don't have an explanation, but they're not there.
No, fair enough, okay. So prior to bond release, those would have to be installed with the requisite trees that were on the plan. So maybe that'll make some people feel a little better about the fact that they have issues with the parking. But anyway, also the shed in the back, they still want the rights to be able to put up the shed, right?
That's correct.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, just included on the drawing, which seems destined to be approved.
It's still there.
Okay.
Hi, Adam Mazzaro, owner of J. Rue's Restaurant. The shed is on order. Cloder Farms is delivering the shed on July 23rd. It's coming, so, and it's in the area where the original plans.
Fair enough, okay.
Yeah, okay, that's it. Can I just address the parking thing one? Sure. As far as the road goes, I don't want to put any more burden on the town of North Haven. If we could do something, absolutely, we're all for it. You guys have been very lenient for us. But I don't know how much, I don't know if it's town or state, but as far as Stiles Lane goes, if that road was widened 3 feet, 4 feet, it might help a little bit. Now, again, I don't want to.
Well,
the only problem is that it's been ruined so much by, like Mr. Borelli said, 18-wheelers and even, early morning people from Cumberland Farms park there.
Mr. Borelli ruined the road?
No, Mr. Borelli didn't do anything.
I parked there myself for lunch a couple of times.
But it's so shot right now, just the curb and some asphalt, but, that's just my opinion. That's it.
I get the question about the 3 spaces in the back that you did not put curbing on. Is that something you want to leave without the curbing, or?
It was originally there so we could get in and out to do the storage shed and to do the
basin.
Yes, and we have never completed it because we never had. But now with the storage shed coming, if we'll be more than happy to complete that. That's no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Bill Clark?
All set.
All set. Good. Commission? All set. Good. Okay, staff?
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it for this, the site plans. Okay, and go on to other. Right now, and other, it'd be Half Mile Road, and we have a sidewalk that we need to talk about. Alan, you want to?
Yeah, we have no representation. I spoke with 2 commissioners. I spoke with Ron Fenton and Jim Giletti about this matter. The applicant had thought that they were requesting a waiver of required sidewalks on this particular application, P1806, a subdivision 83 Half Mile Road. They did not mention it. And there was a lot of focus on the residential fire suppression system, but no focus on this. Their drawings indicated that they were going to provide the sidewalk. So there was no real need on the commission's part or staff to raise the issue. When we got ready to do the approval letter, they said, we asked for a waiver. In my conversations with Ron and with Jim, they said, there's a strong likelihood we would have waived it. Whatever you want to do, if we could take that action now, if you're interested in waiving it, I think we could just consider it a part of that earlier discussion / approval.
Okay.
If you could act on the waiver maybe at this point.
Well, we're going to get into deliberation first.
Deliberation, or?
We're not in deliberation yet, Alan.
That's my spiel,
Well,
it's
he's-
under other.
Okay, well, it doesn't have to be, okay.
Just
Yeah,
so
can I-
we're all on the same page. When he mentioned it to me, and I know he mentioned it to Ron, it was like, it came up, and I said, look, you can't just give it to them, you know, and so it was granted without it, so we need to decide whether we give it to them. I think we probably will, but I just said it had to come up with.
Make a motion.
Make a motion to, you want me to?
Well,
Yeah,
why
go right
don't we do it in deliberation, as you said,
Well,
and
I just
deal
told
with
you
all
we're
of it?
not in deliberation. You want to do it now, or you want to wait a
I
little?
like to do deliberations and do them all at once.
Which is,
Okay, that's fine, that's what I thought. Okay, 85 Pont Hill Road. Someone here for 85 Pont Hill?
Thank you. My name is Alex Hillis,
Spell your last name?
Hillis. I work for St. Pauli Textile. I'm not actually a member of the church, Pond Hill Baptist Church, although, just so you know, there is a representative here from the church tonight as well. He's the associate pastor, Sean. But I work for St. Pauli Textile Incorporated, and we partner with over 1,000 different churches and nonprofit organizations collecting used clothing in a very unique way. Looking forward to answering any questions that you all have for me, but I'll keep it simple up front. Have you all seen the pictures of the clothing shed that we're proposing having at the church? There you go. So what we do is very unique in that, you know, most people are familiar with, you need me to be closer to the mic?
No, speed it up.
Say again?
Just speed it up.
Okay. Well, how about you just ask me what questions you want to ask?
Just tell us what you want to do, and let's get through it.
Clothing donation shed, open to the public. It's going to be maintained in terms of the cleanliness, both by our company, we pick up from the shed once a week, every week, and also by the church. So they're going to be responsible for going into the shed throughout the week, moving donations away from the donation chute, ensuring that there's always room for people to be able to donate. They're also going to be able to use clothing for community needs. They're going to receive funding, you know, for partnering with us on this, to put back into community missions and so on and so forth. So hopefully that was short enough, but enough information for you to go on.
Perfect. Any questions? Any questions?
That's all I was going to say in the first place, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good enough.
That's it? That's all you
That's
want?
it.
Okay.
Yep. You're good.
Sorry.
Okay, 29 State Street. Someone here from 29 State.
you're next.
Good evening. Steve Nugent, Managing Member, Pines Bridge Village Associates. We're developing 29 State Street, rehabbing the historic building. Louder, okay. Get taller. I enclosed a sketch, and we're here to ask to change dwelling unit number 1, the floor plan, to convert what was a lounge into a bedroom and a bathroom, and on the other end of the building to add a den. So that unit number 1, if you want to refer to this plan, I unfortunately don't have 23 by 30, 24 by 36 to share, but bedroom and bath will be on the south end, and then reconfiguring the north end. We keep the bedroom the same size and move the bathroom and install a den. There'll be no other changes to the building. There'll be no changes to the site. We presently have and will continue to have 9 parking stalls. So instead of having 6 bedrooms, we now would like to have 7 bedrooms.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Got a question for Alan. Is it because it's different zones or something? We just heard an application that had parking lots based on bedrooms, and this one's saying it's based on apartments.
It is.
Okay, so it's different because of different zones?
In the Upper Washington Avenue regulation, a more specific parking requirement was illustrated, and it was because of the shared parking component of it. So Mr. Nugent applied under 2.1.1.5, and that is just a single use, it's elderly housing, so it's a straightforward parking formula from the table in 8.5 from 1.3.
I just want to make sure I understood the difference. Thank you. I have no questions.
Okay. You have anything? Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, Bob, we're gonna go over to the change of use here, Alan, on,
Good.
89 State Street.
Hi, my name is Brandon Benevento. I own the Kings Acre Shopping Center on State Street, and I have a change of use request for
Can you just spell your last name?
Benevento.
Thank you.
Requesting a change of use for number 89 from a contractor showroom store to EcoWorks, which is a retail store.
For a what, I'm sorry?
I'm going to let the business owner describe it, since it's...
Anybody can try, I can't hear it.
Yeah, I didn't hear
Okay.
you either, actually, so.
EcoWorks.
EcoWorks.
Yes. We're
Your name,
a,
please?
my name is Lisa Spetrini, S-P-E-T-R-I-N-I. I'm co-chair of EcoWorks Incorporated, also known as EcoWorks Creative Reuse. We are essentially a thrift store for art supplies curated, and a boutique gift shop for items that are made with those materials. We take donated materials, save them from the waste stream, that are particularly for use as in arts, crafts, or teacher supplies. So we are a retail store. We also offer workshops for handcraft predominantly using those materials. So if you're not familiar with the concept of creative reuse, there are creative reuse centers in each of the 50 states. We're currently at, let's see, 262 State Street in New Haven, and have been there for 2 years. We need to expand. The 2,300 square feet at 89 State Street is very attractive to us because it's all on one floor. It has a dedicated workshops room that we'd like to use as a workshop space, a larger office, and very important to us, a loading dock with a garage bay door, and 900 square feet that we could use for processing. So we're looking forward to joining you in North Haven if you would accept the change of use from what's now, I believe, a business office to retail. It is in a strip mall, and there seems to be plenty of parking there. So, yeah, we look forward to being your neighbors.
So this is going to retail, from office to retail?
Yes, it was a contractor's office, Side Tech was it
Yeah.
there. So they had, I guess, an office and some storage.
Yeah, it was showroom in front, and then offices, and then a contractor supplying back.
I'm familiar with it.
So kind of straightforward into what we would call retail.
Materials, when you bring them in, do they come inside?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so they come in the loading dock and come through space inside?
Yes, we sort through, we steam clean if necessary. Most of the goods that we're getting are in extremely good shape. So, and it's, as I said, it's curated, donated goods that our clientele know that we only take things that are, it's on our website. They have to be clean, they have to be able to be used again, so.
But things won't be stored outside, that's what I'm asking.
Oh,
So if it
definitely
comes in,
not.
That's all.
Definitely not. In fact, Brandon has asked us to keep the back extremely, nothing remains visible. So
Good.
that's in our lease.
Anything else?
No?
Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I get a motion to go into deliberation.
I'll make a motion to go into deliberations.
I'll second that. Sorry, Teresa.
No,
Okay.
give it to Ron.
Whatever. Okay. The first item is the special permit. Get a motion to continue P18-20S, the special permit, to next month.
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Okay. On the same page, I would like to get to P18-20, which is the site plan for the same property continue to next month.
Make the same motion.
No, second, same motion.
Okay. Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Signed away, okay. Okay, P18-14 is the site plan for Saca Point Road in respect to the boat launch.
I'll make a motion, we approve the site plan, which means and effectively remove the boat launch from the site plan application. Correct?
Correct.
I make a motion, we approve the site plan.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Now, on the same, please, did you put the cam in there
I'll
too?
make a motion that we approve the CAM 18-14A.
Okay,
I'll second that also.
okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. We get down to J. Rude's. Can I get a motion? It's P18-22. Can I get a motion to approve the moving to enclosing the outside patio there?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Rich?
Rich, yes.
Yep. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Both, okay.
I'd like to abstain from that.
Okay. Here's, Ron abstains. So it will be a 4-0.
So we'll do, well,
You didn't disqualify him, so he abstained from the vote.
He doesn't want to vote on it.
So it's 4.
So it's 4-0.
4-0.
Abstention.
4-0.
Well, okay. All right, Half Mile Road, can I get a motion to waive the sidewalks?
As much as it pains me, I'll make a motion to waive the sidewalks on Half Mile Road.
Did you make a motion?
I did.
Oh, good.
And with equal amounts of pain, I will second that.
You're gonna second it, okay. You're not gonna abstain. Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, Pond Hill Road,
I'll make a motion to approve their request.
And I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
29 State Street, Steve Nugent.
Make a motion to approve that.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Extensions, there's none.
Oh, no, 89 changes.
I'm sorry?
we got the change of use, Mark?
Hurry up.
Okay, I'm telling you, Ron. Okay, 89 State Street. I'd like to get a motion to approve
I will make
the
that motion
change,
to
the
approve.
change of use.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Go to work. Okay, can I get a motion to, the meeting scheduled for 2019 meeting date? We need to do,
We do. I followed the standard pattern.
okay,
Lazar
can I
did.
get is everybody good with this?
Yes.
Okay.
Are they Mondays?
Why don't you do that, because we're gonna change,
I know what you mean.
we want you to
They
play
are.
golf on Tuesday.
That's right, I know, you gotta make me shorten my golf schedule.
Can I get a
I'll make
motion?
to approve the meeting schedule.
Okay, can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes for June 4th, 2018?
I will make that motion to approve minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Anything else to come before the commission? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the Town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.